Whoa, too far, too far. Hey guys, Zach with Uchu Shelf. Just thought I would sit down in front of the camera and show you guys what I wasted my money on this month. Jokes aside, I spent probably more than I should have this month, and whatever, my phone bill can wait. So, first up, I bought volume 13 of Black Clover. I know I'm a couple volumes behind, and that's mostly because I've been reading it up to date on Shonen Jump's app. All in all, though, this is one of my favorite volumes and introduces one of my favorite new characters. So this is actually a really good jumping off point for Black Clover, because from this volume onward, it stops being that kind of run-of-the-mill shonen that everyone kind of has come to know it for, and it becomes something entirely its own, I think. And it's got a ton of great fights. It's got, this volume doesn't have some of the best fights, which if anyone's caught up on the Black Clover anime, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All in all, just a solid volume, and I really gotta buy the next one. Next up, I bought Kamome Shirahama's that's not the right one. Next on my shopping list, I picked up Kamome Shirahama's Witch Hat Atelier, which is honestly one of the most surprising and charming series that I've had the pleasure of reading in quite some time. I had a friend who had been recommending me this for a few months now, actually way back to when the scanlations started. And I read the first few pages and I thought, yeah, it's pretty, I'm not really feeling it, I'm not vibing on it. I had dismissed it entirely as not being for me. And I was walking around to Waterstones one day and I thought, what the heck, I'll pick it up, it looks pretty cool. I got on the train, I read the whole thing in one sitting, and blown away. Like, it's just gorgeous. It's not even the art. I mean, look at the art for starters, but it's not even the art that's gorgeous. It's just this perfect coming-of-age story about this young girl who's just fascinated with magic to the point of wanting to become a witch, despite the fact she's not able to. And then by some sort of divine intervention, she becomes thrown into the world of witches, becomes a witch apprentice, and there's a lot more to the world we haven't seen. By the end of it, you're wanting more, and I don't even think there's another volume out. I think it's just the first one right now. But I'm going to show you guys a couple of pages just to kind of give you a glimpse at how beautiful this series is. So this double page spread, like this one at the top here. This is one of my favorite shots, and I was using it on my personal Facebook for a while there as my cover photo. If you are even marginally interested in fantasy manga, go pick this up. You will not be sorry. Next, I picked up Yoshitoki Oima's To Your Eternity. A lot of people were recommending me this, and by a lot of people I mean the two friends that I have that read manga. Mostly because it was from the creator of A Silent Voice. Not exactly a selling point for me because I haven't read it yet, but I saw it in the bookstore alongside Witch Hat Atelier, and I started flipping through it. Just another hauntingly beautiful, kind of fleeting story about this orb that comes down to Earth. Nobody knows where it comes from. I'm going to assume it's an alien or maybe God. It turns into a wolf, and the wolf is the friend of this kind of native kid who is living in, I guess, like the Arctic. He doesn't have a tribe. He's lost his tribe, has gone off somewhere, and he's going to go find them. Story eventually shifts into this kind of Aztec tribe. There's kind of just this general sacrificing story. There's a young girl who is chosen to be sacrificed to the god for whatever reason, and the wolf that this orb metamorphosizes into eventually shows up to save the girl. It's just kind of, it's really hard to explain, and now I understand when my friends were saying, I don't know how to describe this to you, you just gotta read it. So I'm gonna use that same excuse. Just go pick it up, it is beautiful. Next on Adventures in Impulse Control, I bought not one, not two, not three, not four, but all 5 currently available volumes of Dead Dead Demons Dead Destruction by Inio Asano of Oyasumi Punpun and Solanin fame. Actually, kind of reviewed it for my first video, which I will link in the description as well. Now, those familiar with Inio Asano's work are pretty much going to read this and just go, yeah, this is Inio Asano's work. For newcomers, I would actually recommend this over anything else, mostly because it's not emotionally taxing to the degree that some of his other more well-known works like Goodnight Punpun and Solanin are. Basically follows the day-to-day life of these high school friends as they're transitioning into different periods of their lives. They're going from high school to college, and this is all set against a backdrop of a post-alien invaded Tokyo. A lot of really interesting stuff going on, and it's hard to kind of quantify just how interesting this series is, not just from a point of view of enjoying, just generally enjoying a good alien invasion story, but because the human reaction to how day-to-day life changes when a alien mothership is hanging overhead perpetually is just really interesting. So Dead Demons, too many deads probably, Destruction, go check that out if you haven't. While we're on the topic of Impulse Control and Inio Asano, I also bought volumes 3 and 4 of Goodnight Punpun, which I'm surprised I don't own all volumes just yet. I came very close to buying all 7 volumes at once, but I thought, you know what, probably should space it out. this is actually my first Inio Asano manga that I read. I read it during the scanlations, unfortunately. But I'm paying it back now. I am buying them all, and I'm buying pretty much everything he puts out. For those of you who aren't familiar with Goodnight Punpun, just go read it. Word of caution, you will probably be horribly, horribly depressed by the end of it, but you might not. So I'm a pretty hardcore Inio Asano fan. Goodnight Punpun, doubly so. And I have a Punpun tattoo to prove it. So when I say go and pick up all 7 volumes of the world's most depressing manga, I mean it. And continuing with the spirit of my inability to buy just one thing when I go into any bookstore, I bought volume 1, 2, and 3 of Naoki Urasawa's 20th Century Boys. Now, I'm only marginally familiar with Naoki Urasawa, mostly because I've watched the Monster anime, and I own the first volume of the Monster manga. But I'm actually really looking forward to reading these. I haven't gotten into these yet, mostly because I've been reading everything else, but also because I'm saving them for the plane ride when I go to visit my folks in Canada next week. Very excited to get into these because I've heard nothing but good things about 20th Century Boys. I'm a big sucker for kind of conspiracy theory plots and stuff like that. From my limited Google researching, that's exactly what I'm in for with this, so I am very much looking forward to reading these. So, there you have it. Back, don't I? My May haul of manga. Only spent £150, but you know what they say about this hobby, you gotta spend money to... No, wait, that's not right. I'd love to see what you guys have bought this month. Hit me up in the comments below or follow me on Twitter at the link down there. Until next time, folks, happy reading.